So first of all, you heard a little bit from Momentum. We're very thankful to have them with us again this evening. They were with us in a similar capacity last year here in Miami. I want to welcome Uber Conference for a first time to StartupCamp. And then the balance are folks who have been with us for several years now, CBeyond, Phone.com, and Twilio. So one last applause, if you could help me with that, to thank all of the sponsors for this evening. So, and I also tend to forget this, but my wife told me if I did that there might be trouble. So we've been behind this startup event and a few others in North America for several years now. Myself and a couple of partners who unfortunately are not here tonight because they're suffering from the flu that the Northeast has offered so many people graciously. But EMBRASE is a group of people who have been working in this industry for many, many years. Together, we are a business consulting company that provides growth strategy services and other solutions to both entrepreneurs and service providers. We find ourselves in a nice position. We get to work with entrepreneurs who are bringing a high risk but exciting innovation to the market, and then we have the opportunity to work with more mature service providers who are trying to figure out which of those things they should bring into their own markets. We've had the pleasure over the years to work with a variety of customers, mostly in the US, some in Europe, some in Canada, a mix from video conferencing to voice applications to network services. And if you'd like to know anything more about what we do, please feel free to be in touch with me. Whoops. So tonight's agenda. As I said, tonight is number 7 already. So I would ask if you are the tweeting type to use the hashtag StartupCamp7. And, we try to take in as much feedback as we can throughout the year in between events. We run some surveys. And one of the things that has been suggested to us is that we change the agenda a little bit, and when we are lucky enough to have the likes of someone like John Scully in the room, that we make sure that there is as much time as possible for not only to listen to him speak and share wisdom with us, but to give an opportunity to those in the audience to ask questions. And sometimes when we do the keynote first, we run out of time. So today, we are going to do the startups first. We have 4 of them. For those of you who have been here before, you know that it's very rapid fire. Every startup gets not a second more than 5 minutes to pitch their business, their vision, their idea, their desire for money, partnerships, and customers to you. We have a panel of judges that will toss them some difficult or not so difficult questions depending on the judge. And then we give an opportunity to all of you also to, in your assessment of them, ask questions. We'll run through them very quickly. We'll run through the questions. We will do the voting that we always do using an SMS application provided by one of the sponsors, Twilio. And then we will roll into the John Scully keynote. After that, we have some gadgets to give away that we will be doing a drawing for some tablets, and then some additional Q&A with John. The format for our time with John tonight will be like we did for the first time last year in Austin, what they call a fireside chat. I'm fortunate to have my good friend and colleague, Gary Puddles, with us tonight to conduct the interview. Gary has become an absolute John Scully historian, so if there's anything you don't learn during the keynote, you can certainly ask Gary afterwards. And that's it. I would like to get going. So with that, I am going to invite the judges and the moderator of the judging panel to the stage. Craig Walker. Actually, we'll maybe do this in order. Craig, why don't you come in and have a seat? Craig Walker is the CEO of FireSpotter Labs. Thank you, Craig, for being here. Jeff Uphughes, who is the Senior Vice President of CBeyond. Thank you for being here, Jeff. Jerry DeHaven, who joins us for the first time. He's a partner at Q Advisors. Q Advisors is a very active M&A firm in the telco space, so I thought it would be relevant. And last but certainly not least, my friend Andy Abramson, who actually was a judge in StartupCamp 1 and helped us to conceive the idea back then. Andy is the founder and CEO of Communicano, a very well-known communications and PR agency in the industry. Thank you all for being here. And with that, we will start pitching, and I will invite the folks from Protego to the stage. Good luck.
All right, hello and good evening. My name is Ray Krizik, and I'm with a company called Protego. I'm the CEO and founder of a dynamic new company, and we provide mobile safety solutions. We integrate text messaging, smartphone technology, and emergency call center technology as one integrated solution to ensure that our customers are always protected and never alone during any emergency. At Protego, we believe that we can make a positive impact on this world by addressing the needs of first responders and also providing peace of mind to our customers in the time of need, knowing that they're never alone and always connected to a source that can help them. At Protego, we really take great pride in bringing together a first responder who has been integral in providing information that they need in terms of dealing with responses and also to add value in terms of our development product. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to Lieutenant Billy O'Connor.
Thanks, Ray. As a Vietnam vet and as a former first responder for 23 years, busy houses in the South Bronx and Harlem, I can tell you in emergencies, seconds can make the difference between life and death. There's no such thing as too much information in an emergency. I truly believe that our mobile solution will save more lives in 5 minutes than I saved in my 23-year career. Take a look at that screen up there. It tells you that this is a dangerous world. Recent horrific events in Hurricane Sandy and Sandy Hook has proved that it's only getting worse. Here's our solution. You touch a button on your phone. It alerts up to 15 of your closest friends and relatives that you're in serious trouble, and it gives you GPS location. It also alerts a central dispatcher who gets back to you immediately to determine the nature of the emergency. If he doesn't hear from you, he sends EMS and the police. I can tell you that you can't stop an idea whose time has come. This is a remarkable app, and the timing is perfect. Think about 1 second, 1/60th of a minute. The time it takes to recover from a sneeze. But in an emergency, it's an eternity. Seconds matter. I truly believe that this app will save more lives in 5 minutes than I saved in 23 years. I really do. With Protego's Guardian on the go, you're always protected, you're never alone, and it's all for pennies a day. And with that, I'll turn you back over to Ray.
Okay, thanks, Billy. I want to share our revenue model with you. As you can see, we have 4 streams of business really contributing to our profit base. But what's more important is we have some exciting things in the future that we anticipate that will be able to generate revenue from co-branding, advertising, and information brokering. Our B2C model and strategy entails a sandwich generation. Those are people who are actually taking care of their parents and their children. And we have an exciting strategy with our B2G solution, which centers around safe schools and our Safe School Communicator product. Okay, we have a product and a solution today that will save children's lives. Think about that, especially with the horrific event that just happened in Newtown, Connecticut. Our product captures and sends critical information and alerts to all designated school and local response officials in seconds, whether at a state level or down to an individual school. Weather, biological, and incident alerts are sent directly to designated staff so they can take action on information of what's happening based upon that situation. In the event, real-time information is received by our Crisis Command Center and disseminated to local decision makers who act upon the information and use on-site intelligence until the issue is resolved. Okay? Slide 7, as you can see, we've been busy testing and rolling out new products, and we're in the news. We've actually made some headway in that area. We were appointed the best apps by CES, by Stuff Magazine, and we've also been seen on the BBC and Tech News Daily. And our business model, we're seasoned professionals, and we're basically taking the outsourcing model where we can control our operating costs by scaling and applying resources where needed and when, and to quickly adapt to any situation. In closing, our investment opportunity is simple. We're seeking to receive at least $2.5 million from various investment sources, including angels. Okay, we're also seeking key business and strategic alliances. And in closing, we have the team, we have the tenacity and the products. We need your help, your investment to save lives across the world today. Thank you.
Great job, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Why don't you have a seat? Andy, it's all yours.
And we're going to let our judges have their way with you guys. So, Craig, you're the mobile guy here. You've done a few mobile apps in your day.
So, yeah, quick question. How does it work with a Peace app? So,
Sure. We're integrated with PSAP through our call center. Our call center has been in business for 20 years, and they're really the clearinghouse for all U.S.-based disaster control and environmental control scenarios in the country today. So they're integrated locally with the PSAPs.
okay, so just a scenario. There's a shooter at my school. I fire up the app, say, press the assault button. Is there any form where I give more details? I just hit assault.
You hit assault, and what happens is that the GPS location, along with the event type, is sent directly to our command and control center. Based on the GPS location, they tie into the local PSAP.
So they pick up the phone, then call the Peace app and say,
Exactly.
at this school,
At this
here's
school
this
of-
guy who has an assault.
Exactly.
Doesn't that take more time than dialing 911 directly to that Peace app?
No, it's done in seconds. It's done in seconds.
Okay.
So does Billy come with you all the time?
He's my alter ego.
All right, so you listed a couple of different markets you're going after. So I
Right.
saw you had business to government, you had business to consumer, and more B2C model, you had B2B model. Which one is it and why?
Okay, well, it's a combination of all, to be honest with you. Okay, we have a mobile app that is targeted for the business to consumer, where you can buy our app in the store right now on the Apple Store. And we have a business to government, business to business app with SDKs and co-branding, white labeling product with professional services to meet the unique demands of that revenue stream as well.
How do you get that last portion out into the market? How do the people like Mr. New York here know about it?
Well, what we do is through our advertising promo, and right now we're actually working with several institutions for pilot-based solutions for a safe school solution. And we're getting a lot of press coverage as well, so we're leveraging that, and conferences like this, industry consultants, that's the venue for us.
Good.
Billy's a great spokesperson, reminds me of the most famous Jets fan for those of you
Fireman Ed, huh?
New Yorkers, right?
What a hopeful. He's a hopeful.
So you talked about B2C, and this might dovetail on what Jeff just asked, but in terms of advertising and marketing, it's a push-pull. Clearly a market that's got a lot of demand right now. But talk a little bit more about distribution and how you're going to sell it beyond just you to the consumer.
Right now, into the consumer, we're using the electronic storefronts right now, and we're going to be utilizing some techniques also from Google with Wildfire. Okay, now that we've created demand and buzz, we're going to be doing massive Facebook campaigns and Twitter campaigns as well to get the awareness out to the B2C model.
Investors love intellectual property.
Yes.
Can you talk about whether or not there's a patent?
We have patent work in process. We have utility patents already applied for, and we have some innovation, and we're very excited, especially with the new act that just passed, that we are going to be filing first to patent this season as well, right before March 15th.
What are the prices of the to buy the app?
To buy the app, it's 99 cents for the app, and our subscription services on a monthly basis is $1.99 a month. That's under 7 cents a day, and you get a discount to $21.50 if you buy an annual subscription, and it's an opt-out program.
How do you protect your business when you're looking at the PSAPs now, starting and is on their roadmap to start taking SMS messages? And how do you defend or how do you look at that as an advantage?
Well, we're looking at being one of the first individuals to offer that, and we're looking for strategic alliances as well to be able to integrate into those offerings as well.
Okay.
Andy, do you have a question before I go to the audience?
I don't have any questions. I was going to go to you, Larry, and say, what do we have in the audience?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Andy. Are there any questions on either side? We have a mic on both sides. We have room for about 3-4 questions.
There's a couple right by the bar.
Questions at the bar.
How will you handle the false positives?
The question was, how do you handle a false positive?
Okay, we have a feature in our application which you verify that this is not a false alarm, that this is an actual emergency, and it's a big red button for the false alarm and a green one for the active emergency.
Next question, Larry, who do we have?
Yeah, this gentleman over here.
Can a company like Life Alert, which is already established, move into that market very quickly?
We see them as targeted for partnerships because Life Alert basically focuses on the domicile, and now we can extend that coverage for them without development cost, and I think it's an attractive solution for them.
Go, Nancy.
Question over here.
Why would somebody use your app versus texting to 911?
Because we can get out to critical mass, not only the 911, which is obviously your first selection, but we also get out to friends and family who may be closer and nearby, depending on your emergency, who can offer you immediate assistance.
I'd like to address that too for a second. As a fireman, I can tell you a lot of EMS runs, we find heart attack victims inside bathrooms because elderly people, they strain, and that's when they have heart attacks. If you call 911, you have a heart attack, you still can't tell them where you are unless you have a GPS location. We have that capability.
All right, we got room for 2 more questions.
Does the app have the ability to have the call center see and hear what's going on scene, maybe for that school situation, so that they can monitor an emergency?
Yeah, we actually, in our school-based solution, we have direct link, and if it's integrated with the teachers on site, we actually have a video capability that we have integrated into the application along with sound. We also have floor plans and site plans that you can monitor what's happening in the environment as well, so you understand the path that, in that situation, the shooter is taking at that point in time.
Last question.
Actually, I was going to ask about the video. So do you actually store it and can recreate it down the road when it needs to be?
We'll be basically streaming it into our center for that solution, and then we can store it as a part of the archive record for the incident.
Okay.
All right, let's give a hand. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Ray. Thank you,
Thank you.
Billy.
Thank you, fellas. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Anthony from TrueView comes to the stage. Thank you, guys. Take this opportunity to make a special thank you also to Uber Conference. You probably noticed that you're wearing Uber Conference all week, and if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend you do. Anthony, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Anthony Guglielmo, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of TrueView. There we go. Not so long ago, I was a repair technician for a telecom company in Georgia. I love my job. I love solving problems. I did 2 to 3 times the volume of my coworkers, and that's not because I had a faster truck. I did that because I used my memory and I used my phone. I would see an order come in describing something like black bars on channel 14. I knew there was nothing wrong with the system. The call center just simply couldn't understand what the customer was talking about. And that's why they dispatched a truck. In most cases, I'd been to that customer's home. I could actually describe to them, hey, it's not the remote from us, it's the black one. You know, it's your remote that you need to be touching. But that only worked because I'd seen the house and had a relationship with the customer. That was effective in resolving the issue, but the system I worked in was incredibly inefficient. But here's the math on why I got that call. It's about $252 on average to do a truck roll in the communications industry, and it's on average about $330 for a churned customer that's unsatisfied. But I still feel like that's too much money to simply press a button. So I built a tool that solves the problem faster and for less money. TrueView brings your customer's experience, exactly what they're doing right now, from the customer's home into your call center via mobile applications. We use the camera on smartphone to deliver our products. We build apps for communications companies that enable the smartphone to stream directly. Agents can talk and see what your customers are doing, all in a secure, recordable session. It's that simple. I build apps that allow people to stop doing this and start doing this. You can actually start seeing what they're doing. Imagine the difference in your operations center when you can finally let your employees work with their eyes open. So why is this the right time to be doing it? Our cellular networks have finally gotten fast enough for video streaming. The technology's gotten there, and the penetration on devices has gone through the roof. Over 52% of Americans own a smartphone. And if you count Wi-Fi and you count tablets, our solution is into 86% of homes as far as availability. But maybe most importantly, communications companies are finally feeling a bit of competition, and they're focused on a new concept called customer experience. I not only save customers money, their customers actually get their problem solved quicker. How's that for a good experience? So I know in this room, you folks understand that communications is a big market, but even I was shocked to hear that over $12 billion was spent on repair-related truck rolls in 2012. According to Aberdeen Research surveys, 40% of those truck rolls from the technicians, totally worthless. Our business model fits right into that spot. We charge companies based on usage or a flat fee based on the number of their subscribers. So ThruView already works with some of the best in the business, and we can't wait to do more with them. We're here today to help raise $500,000 to get out there and help sell our products to new companies across the world. We've been fortunate through industry connections and trade shows to land test and several massive companies, and a few regional companies are getting ready to close. We launched in February of last year and had our first customer inside of 2 weeks. They saved their first truck roll that next day. And they made their money back on us in 6 weeks, so I need to start charging more. We got our first Fortune 500 company 6 months later, and we're ready to close the other 26 customers currently in my pipeline. The other people chasing the $12 billion pie to reduce truck rolls are call centers, contractors, and utilization software. I think call centers do a really good job considering that they work blind and they work off a script. But they didn't have modern tools, so we shook up the status quo and offer our services as a premium to our call center outsourcers. We make everyone's job easier, and we do it with the best troubleshooting tool created, Sight. To reach our customers easily, we've also added integration on Salesforce, so you can buy us without even setting us up as a vendor. Let's see. The leadership team consists of myself and Trapper Key. We both live in Atlanta, and we use research first to help get us out through the market. We're raising $500,000 to build our development team and make the best products in the world for troubleshooting. For those of you who've left your wallets at home, please feel free to introduce us to any service provider that wants to start offering the best products, services, delivering awesome customer experience, and saving tons of money.
Thank you very much. Time. Thank you very much. Take a seat.
Anthony, have a seat.
Andy, it's yours.
Boom.
Went to get it for you.
Leave.
Why don't you have a seat? So I'm going to start with Jeff from CBON, because you guys actually probably have to do some truck rolls from time to time.
We do a lot of truck rolls.
So why don't you fire away first?
So how does the customer interface that? So when you're talking and saying, this customer is getting things into our service department, help me make that bridge between how that customer uses their smartphone and gets into our systems.
Certainly. So we have we produce a white label app for CBeyond. It's already in the App Store. It's downloaded. And what you do is via the call center, you take it in a traditional method at this point. We also offer, if someone tweets you and you want to respond to it via that way, we have an automatic response system. So your call center agent at this point sees that number and sends a message directly to them back in an email or a text message that links them to the App Store and preloads the content and information for the accounting. We've made it extremely simple, and we've actually patented the 3-step process that it takes to load that account information so that it's a seamless transition. your customer's not having to enter in all sorts of ridiculous information to try and log in and blah, blah, blah. We want to make it simple and effective so that people would actually use it and start saving you money. Because if they get frustrated, which they already are, they're going to just not do it.
Yeah, I mean, you showed pictures of business to consumer models.
Correct.
Is that where your main target is versus B2B models?
Well, I used to do a lot of repair work for the NCRs of the world, and I was the remote technician out there. And I've done a lot of jobs where I've rolled out 4 and 5 times simply because product wasn't there, it was the wrong type of switch. When I worked with HP, not doing the repair orders, they spent about $7 grand on replacing a router that was totally a transition. I was part of Palm, and we got acquired. They swapped out the equipment. They sent the same exact stuff, but because they had so many different contractors in that chain, and they outsourced that service and maintenance, internal customers are not treated quite as well as the external customers. They spent so much time repairing that. The real problem, the first contractor had put the in into the out, and that's the kind of problems we solve.
Okay.
So did you say you want to compete with the call centers and the truck roll companies like Endeavor down in Atlanta and
Sure.
take them out of the service provider as opposed to working with them to maybe?
We actually would be interested in working with Endeavor to try and help them, because they've got the contracts to do the service, in various amounts of time. NCR has guarantees that they've got for contracts and trying to, but it's all about uptime for those contracts, and that's what we're all about. We're about maintaining uptime and building to that strategy. So we're competing for those same dollars, but we're just making their jobs easier.
Craig?
Well, first of all, I love it. It's
Thanks.
fantastic. I think a lot of people have had the experience of getting on the phone with Comcast or what have you,
Sure.
waiting days, and then the guy comes out and it's a really solvable issue, which the guy on the phone, had he known what was going on, would have known about it. In fact, I just had it where my Comcast, there's a button on the router if you have the phone service. If it gets pushed,
It
the
turns
internet
off the
stops
phone.
working,
Yeah.
but the phone works. And I'm like, what the hell happened?
It's like the best design from Eris
Yeah,
ever.
it's horrible. Anyway, so they sent a guy out to press a button, and anyone could. You would have thought even the call center guy would have gotten it. So I love it. Just more questions about the business. So
Sure.
are you and your team doing this full time? Who wrote the app? And
I wrote the app, and yes, I do work on it full time. We raised some money from actually one of my customers when I was at Cable Tech, and he said, if you ever come up with an idea, you're one of the smartest guys that's ever been to my house, let me know. Let me just give you some money, and we'll figure something out. And that's how we've been surviving so far. But we're raising more money to build that development team and to continue to grow through markets. And
is there anyone out there doing it? Because, it just seems like such a logical, every good idea generally has 10 people working on it. Anyone out there doing anything similar that you're aware of?
There's 6,000 different ways to do this kind of work, and we're focused in our niche to just really, really address it. And you'd think the company, we're in test or in paid test with 2 of the top 3 telephone companies in the nation. You'd think that they would have been beaten down by these folks. And we haven't heard from anybody yet. They're like, that's amazing. And so
We're going
I'm gonna take some questions.
Larry,
thank you.
while you're finding somebody with a question, I've
Who's
got
got a
one.
question for?
Larry, while you find a question, I've got a question.
Go right ahead. I'm looking.
So you're tracking you've got your webcam, your smartphone, you're capturing the problem. Are you doing any back-end analytics so the service provider can start to see what the most common recurring problems are, and how are you communicating that to them?
So what we do is we actually give them the offer. We're not doing back-end analytics at this point from a video standpoint, but we are doing tabular integration. You press a button, this is the common problem, this is what it had. We also do a resolution matrix to try and just show the value of, hey, this worked in this case, it wouldn't have worked in this case, but that's right now up to the contact center's discretion. However, it's all recorded, so if you needed to further analyze that content, yes, it's a great tool. It's a massive amount of data to pull through, and we're trying to give the providers a good account level information they can work with, and then really track that stuff down. One big problem is repeat repair orders. So if you as a technician can go review what's already been done at a house and already been subscribed to and talked to, you're not only going to reduce that customer frustration, but you're going to be so much more effective at your job.
All right, let's cut to this question over here.
What's the difference between what you are doing and Luxi? And can you, when a technician works, he has to have hands free. Do you have a solution like a Luxi that they can work free and they have a head cam that can communicate with the cell phone? And in addition to upstreaming and streaming real time, also archive it in a micro SD card, so if there's no communication, as soon as the communication is enabled, upload it, and also can you upload it to public use, YouTube and other free website and connect it with a PC with video, WIVIDEO.
That's enough.
What's the question?
Take
so-
one.
Can you repeat that?
Just take one of those.
Okay.
Just take one of those, please.
So Luxi is a hardware provider, and they've recently got into the business of selling to businesses to try and help them do more troubleshooting, from a mechanical standpoint. But they're primarily a hardware provider, and we've actually contacted them about sharing information, sharing API, because I'm all about working with other people's hardware. I'm a software play. The difference is that we're totally private. We actually allow you to put your servers behind the network, and there's a lot of CP&I or customer information that has to be concerned with. So we offer you the ability to solely exist behind the firewall.
Do we have any other questions in the audience? Right there, in blue shirt.
Okay, last one here. We're going to move on to Throughview.
So it looks like you're geared completely with the smartphone market and 52% saturation, you say, on smart devices. What does your product offer for the other 48% that don't have the smart devices?
So we cover about 86% of households based on, if you count in tablets and you count in the other devices. And that growth is going nowhere but up. But if you still have a traditional phone, the call centers are still your best option. But I can't think of a household that doesn't have a grandson or a neighbor that I'd rather ask to borrow their stuff than to wait until next Tuesday for the guy to roll out.
Anthony, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask Omar from Flow-Through to come up. While you're taking the stage, I just want to take a minute to also thank the guys at Phone.com for sponsoring again this year. One of the things I really like about the guys at Phone.com, and I imagine their customers and partners do, is while they've been building their business as entrepreneur for now several years, they always run it like it's the first day of their business. They're always looking to do things better, whether it be the products they sell or the way that they serve their customers. So if you haven't talked to them yet, I strongly suggest it. So, Omar?
Yes, sir.
It is all
Hello.
you.
Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Omar. I'm founder of Flow-Through, and we are excited to be at StartupCamp, tell you about our vision for voice. We believe that the phone, that voice will move beyond the phone. It has to. It's already happening, right? And when this happens, we believe that the phone will be left behind. And who hurts most when this happens? The service provider, the telco. Yet, what is the one thing they have unrivaled in reach? Yeah, the phone number. And there's the key. We want to take that phone number out of the phone, take it everywhere. That is Flow-Through's reason to be. This is a fast clicker. Say my mom wants to call me, right? Complicated things happen in the carrier world. My phone's about to ring. But say my phone company no longer thinks of itself as a phone company. It's a voice company. It's designed to send voice to multiple places, right? A sort of new reach me that requires no manual. So I want to be rung somewhere, I download an app. I sign into a browser. This makes it more likely that the call's going to come where I happen to be. In this case, my iPad watching Conan, right? So I'll take that call, right? Flow-Through can do this for the carrier with internet technologies, with WebRTC, and we layer over their network, right? And truly, WebRTC was what was needed, right? We've had bandwidth, we have devices, we have apps. Now we have this lightweight way to talk, right, across the internet. Not built for this phone, but for browsers. That is how Flow-Through is executing on this, right? We're building the flow-through service that layers over the carrier network, right, in ways that doesn't harm them, in ways that they're used to, so it's easy to integrate. We let carriers come in and build flow-through apps in their brand for their end users. That's simple. Technology that hooks into the network with known standards, right, and interconnects it to WebRTC, enabling this reach, right? And this scale takes work. It looks a little complicated, right? But this is our space. We like this. And that's really why we're doing this, so that others don't deal. They just know that the number goes everywhere. Why do we think we'll succeed, right? Flow-through is co-founded by a VoIP guy and an app guy. My entire career is voice over IP. I've coded, managed, supported, directed products that run in and over carrier networks. Chris is an iOS guru, the Economist and Telegraph iPad apps to his credit. Seasoned investors and advisors, right? Decades of telco experience, billion-dollar company exits. We have tight partnerships. RimHub offloads a lot of our ops. That enables us to stay lean. And Plivo interconnects our WebRTC carrier-grade infrastructure. How are we going to do this? Less than $1 a month. Telco can take the flow-through service and apps to its user. This is any app, one iPod app, 4 apps on devices in a household, and web widgets in a browser, don't care. Support's in there, analytics are in there. If I've got apps on users, I can tell the carrier these many logged in, these many made calls, these many are falling away from their trend. You may want to do something. We would like to empower, the entire voice over IP world. That may take some time. So our initial targets are the 25K to the 250K provider, right? The nimble ones with the most to gain. And how are we different from the competition? Like the traditional soft phone vendor. Those are phones stuck on devices. They are not endpoints for reachability. Right? They're heavyweight. They take complex telephony. And they take custom configs. You put that in a browser? Really? You want to take that to all your users? No. Simple to use, easy to integrate, the right technology for the problem at hand. That's our differentiator. So we believe the voice is going everywhere. We think the carrier is going to want their number to go with that voice. Don't you? We've built a solution. We've obtained angel cash. We have market trials. So we're looking for investors who agree, for partners who think we have value. And I'm going to leave you with this, right? After I finish a call, why can't I invite 10 of my friends because I like the service, and one downloads that app and signs up? I get my next monthly bill free. Customer acquisition went from 300 to 30 for that provider. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Omar.
Omar, please have a seat. Craig, you're the guy building new, disruptive, changing the world apps, services. Why don't you go first?
Yeah, a couple questions. So it feels a little like a Google Voice type service, right? One number that'll reach you at any endpoint, right, although the endpoints are WebRTC enabled?
Yes.
And then you're going to charge a monthly fee for that?
In the initial, yes. But in speaking to many carriers, the larger one we have a trial with, they said, you know what, here's $200,000. Don't charge me per month. Tell me what my support cost is going to be, and I'm rolling. Because effectively, their marketing budget's about that. And if you can just push the app, it's kind of marketing for them. So.
I'm impressed because working with carriers has never been an easy thing, ever. And
you would know.
We tried forever. The interesting thing is, but what is the demand for the end user? So, and not to go back to Google Voice, but I can get a phone number. It can ring me up to 6 places. It can ring me on my laptop. It's free. Why would I ever pay for anything else?
So I use Google Voice on my Sprint phone, right? Because they had this nice tie-up with Sprint. And it almost felt like Google Voice was trying to sometimes replace how the phone worked. Every pop-up would be, do you want to take this on Google Voice or not? And I don't want to replace them. I just want that number. And the other thing that Google Voice didn't do, which maybe could, I don't know, is go into the providers' networks. Because each of these use these vendors, right? Voice over IP vendors like BroadSoft and Metaswitch, NetSapiens, all these. They have standard APIs. Our apps can go in through that to the service. And the last thing about Google Voice was that it had promise. I was at BroadSoft when they launched it, and I was like, yay! Because at BroadSoft, I did the APIs, and I was like, hallelujah, you know, the carriers will see this. And Google stopped positioning it. I mean, they stopped pushing it. It was search and ads, and it felt like they tried it, and they were like, it's too small for us. We don't care. I don't know. I don't know. You were there, right?
I don't know about that. Yeah, I just think it's a challenge if the business is built on getting a bunch of carrier partners to do this, because the carriers are long-term duration, difficult to work with, difficult to put, you know, you never know when you're going to come out the other end.
Speaking of carriers, Jeff, why don't you take a carrier perspective here?
No, I don't need the mic. Love the presentation. It's a lot of good stuff. There's not too many people that know as much about the whole infrastructure side as what you do. So congrats on pulling the team together and some good stuff. I mean, you guys did great work at BroadSoft and other things. I just don't know how much somebody wants to be that connected, and for a carrier to then push that out or say, hey, you can be regardless of any device and what you're doing. I look at the things of what we're doing to drive top line revenue and what we're doing to really try to drive revenue growth with our customers. And if I can't find a product that we can't get our arms around that says we can put that onto either web, we can put that into an app store, we can put that into a salesperson's hands, I don't see just big driving revenue in doing this for a service provider to go push it.
Right, so I'll take that on a question in two parts. The first one is maybe more about reducing churn, right? So your your acquisition cost is $250 to $300, right? Mm-hmm. Your churn is 1.5%, 3%, something like that. Let's say you start to use this first to stem the tide. And the apps are not about being reached maybe everywhere, but it's more about when I'm not near that phone, my number is still relevant. So it maybe makes you less likely to walk. Let's start with that. The app's easy to reach, and now you have this platform. So now let's say you ship an ad server, and you go, hey, we noticed you invited some friends. Next month's free. Hey, we're doing this next revenue thing, $5 off your month. It becomes a platform for you to position new things, and if your reach is there, you instantly reach all your customers right away. And I think that's where your top line revenue will come, right? So maybe now it's low margin, get it out, get it everywhere, but if I'm in the aggregate of 1 million apps over a year because you pick up these carriers, there's some value, you know, for the carrier now. That was my thought. I was actually taking Google as an inspiration there.
Jerry, from a business buyout, business opportunity standpoint, where do you see it fitting?
So I think that every carrier I talk to struggles with having a ubiquitous number and creating value from it. And just to echo something Jeff said, sounds really well conceived. I like how you presented somebody from voice, somebody from app, because clearly voice has become an app. And from my side of the world is why we see so many different buyers and investors from other technology models historically. So, I'd listen to what Jeff said about creating value. To me, that's an interesting comment from him. One of the things that you said that I had a question about was you want to replace VoIP or VoIP providers, and I don't know that I get that. To me, they would seem to be logical partners.
Right. I'm sorry if that came across. I didn't want to replace the VoIP carrier. I want to empower. They have like 300 some million
replace
lines.
VoIP.
Yeah, I just want to use that VoIP line, and I want to layer over it. Right. That's what I wanted.
So you said you have one carrier, and they just said they're going to two. And
Andy,
they're
while
going
you're
to pay.
asking that question, I'm going to do the same.
Larry's
So
well,
if
how long did it take to get the first customer?
Well, okay, this may be slightly weird, because I have a relationship, I know them from before, and oddly enough, they have WebRTC in their lab networks, and they're trying to see if WebRTC starts to go somewhere, are they just going to, start to stand up WebRTC as a media source? So I said, that's fine. I'm just letting you take that experience to everybody else, because telcos historically don't do the app, the experience, the simple download, the value as much. And so it would kind of fit in there. And they said, sure.
What about the second customer? How long did it take?
Well, they said make it ring, and we'll see. But it's fine.
So you don't have a second customer?
Well, they said, yeah. It's a trial.
It's a trial.
Are there
Trials
any-
are not customers.
We know how carriers are. Trials
there-
can take a while sometimes.
Are there any questions for Omar in the audience?
I have one over here.
Is it possible to run these apps without the SIP?
Yes, these apps don't use SIP. That's the people we want to...
I mean, you had the RTC and,
Take out, really.
and SIP in the same cloud there.
Right, so...
Is it either or is it both?
So the question's slightly technical. It's basically saying, are you going to use SIP or WebRTC to switch the voice?
Or both?
No, it's not both. It's WebRTC. It's straight. WebRTC goes to a cloud, interconnects into SIP, and goes into the carrier network. So our app is not a SIP
But my question
client.
is, if they don't use SIP, smaller providers, can they use RTC and not invest in SIP?
If they wish to use WebRTC instead of SIP in their networks directly, and you want us to go directly to them?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Omar, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, I'll ask Ryan to come to the stage. It may have been tongue-in-cheek earlier when Mike said that Momentum is the best service provider in the country that you've never heard of. But I've known them for a long time. I've kind of watched them grown up somewhat, and I've seen them win the trust of very large service providers and very large enterprises. And so I would suggest you get to know them and maybe help me by thanking them to buy us drinks to go and see them tomorrow in the exhibit hall. And for those who have heard of a company called Apple, in about 10 minutes we're going to have one of their former CEOs join us on stage. Before that, Ryan, it's all yours.
Perfect. Great. Hi, everyone. Verbalize It is changing the way that businesses and individuals communicate across languages every day around the world. My name is Ryan Frankel, CEO and co-founder, and I'd like to share a story. Yours truly was traveling in China and thought he could eat anything on the menu. Bad idea. I woke up the next day sicker than sick. We're talking toilet seat makeout sick. I managed to drag my way to a pharmacy where I knew exactly what medication I needed, but I couldn't communicate with any pharmacist due to the language barrier. I felt helpless, and I would have given anything to have had someone there who could communicate on my behalf. If I had verbalized it with me in China, I would have loaded the mobile app, selected the language that I need translated, and Verbalize It finds me the best available human translator. I tell that translator exactly what I need, place the phone on speaker, and that translator communicates directly on my behalf. Verbalize It is a crowdsourced platform of human translators that are accessible over the phone and through API. Before Verbalize It, the only solutions for my needs were traditional physical call centers and on-site interpreters that cost as much as $10 a minute, priced well beyond the reach of most businesses and consumers. And machine translation technology, which I couldn't rely upon for speed or accuracy. Here's an example of machine translation gone bad. Because our translation is powered by people, they get it right more often. They understand obscure dialects, and they can even translate the unspoken, such as emotion, local customs, and terminology. Verbalize It is disrupting the industry by providing the quality of human-powered solutions, but at a price point that's affordable to everyone. So how do we do this? We are expanding and crowdsourcing the market for translation to the 1 billion people around the world who speak a second language and who now have a platform on which they can earn meaningful income in their spare time. We use our call routing algorithm to match our translators with customers in need to create the world's first universal translator powered by people. So how do people connect with our translators? Of course, we have an iPhone and an Android app. But for those without a smartphone, we deliver a simple local phone number that works from any phone. But what's really going to blow this out of the water is our developer API. By simply integrating one line of code, any developer working on any business application has the power of our crowd at their fingertips. This makes our platform infinitely accessible. We are thrilled to announce an integration with Skype, enabling Skype users to drag and drop a Verbalize It translator into any call. And it's not just Skype. Our Twilio integration means developers can code a phone number into their apps to reach a live translator. Now businesses can create conference calls and a Verbalize It translator is automatically joined. Our API ultimately expands our target market. We just signed a deal with QualView to provide audio and text translation solutions. We have partnerships with companies like TripLingo and Student Universe to empower global travelers with instant access to our translators. We're working with companies like Carlson Wagonlit and Desk.com to power global travel management and enterprise CRM solutions. We are integrated with businesses all over the world and working with them to enable them to better service their existing customers, acquire new ones, and all the while maintain exceptional levels of quality at a price point that is affordable to everyone. In just the last 6 months since we've launched, we've closed powerful business development deals and we've expanded our translator base to 3,000. We've launched our mobile app, we've built powerful APIs, and we have users on every single continent, and that's just in the last 6 months. So, if you're as excited about this opportunity as we are and you want to help us find the right partners and acquire new clients, please take down my contact information and find me afterwards. I would be thrilled to speak with you. My name is Ryan Frankel, and I'd like to show you how with Verbalize It, nothing is ever lost in translation. Thank you very much.
Jerry can't wait to ask you his first question.
So, Ryan, investors love to understand cost of services, profit margins. When I hear crowdsourcing and people all over the world, it sounds expensive. How do you define your profit margin? What are your costs?
So it's costs are all human capital. Technology costs are fairly low. We're able to, as a company, from an investor perspective, maintain very healthy margins by virtue of what we've done to the industry, which is take something that formerly was only delivered by highly certified and highly, very expensive individuals because they're housed in physical call centers. And we've expanded that solution now. So you don't necessarily need to be a highly proficient certified interpreter to help a consumer navigate a silly eating situation in China. And so that the crowdsourcing actually works to our benefit as opposed to being a detractor.
Is it pay per use or subscription, or how do the economics work? Because with 3,000 translators, and I'm assuming you're trying to grow that for a lot of depth, I mean, how do you price it so it's attractive to them to actually pick up a ticket?
Sure. So the pricing at a very simple level is a pay per use model. A lot of businesses will acquire a number of minutes in advance or a number of credits to be used for live translation or non-live audio document solutions. But in general, it comes down to a per minute. You're paid by the minute as a translator, and customers pay by the minute for the business.
What is that per minute?
Depending on volume, for live interpretation, it's as low as 50 cents per minute and as high as $1 a minute.
What are you doing with your analytic information that you're capturing and using this? How are you using that to then further attract other customers based upon the statistics and other things you're doing? So if you go to another firm that says, like the travel company, how can you make an impact to them that then they can say, this is why we need to go have this for their customers?
It's a phenomenal question. I mean, it's one of the things that we've been able to use the momentum from one to get to another, which is you learn that 40% of travelers experience critical situations in which they can't communicate because of a language barrier. Once you have that data, that's valuable information to provide to a credit card company or to a travel management platform because it enables them to provide services and solutions to their customers, which increase loyalty from their own customers.
Well, Larry goes out to look, I've got one. Who carries the liability in case the translator makes a mistake?
We carry liability. It's all written off in the form of a privacy agreement, but anytime you're dealing with a human capital intensive business, there's always that risk that something could be said or something could be done that's not becoming of your overall company.
But the results in damage is the person gets prescribed the wrong drugs. Who carries that liability, you or the pharmacy?
We don't actually prescribe drugs.
No, but you're just use a pharmacy example.
Right.
Somebody makes a mistake in how they translate it. Who carries the liability?
Customer waives everything, but again, it's very obvious that we as a company always bear that risk.
I got a question over here for you, Ryan.
So I've been down to China, and I think I've made out with a toilet seat for sure. And it could definitely, and I had to run to the pharmacy just like you did, and it was a nightmare. But I can see myself trying to use the platform or the application. What's the SLAs for somebody to even pick it up? I mean, how do you make sure that happens?
Yeah, within 99.5% of the cases, a person will pick up the phone between 15 and 20 seconds. So it's very much on demand. And one of the benefits of this model is there's no scheduling required. So you can get in the taxi and all of a sudden need directions, or you can get to the pharmacy and tell them what you need right away.
You got a question over there?
Yes, sir. With the world become as a one now, like at this time, can you use verbalize it to learn someone to help someone to learn a different language?
It's a great question. It's one of the things that we somewhat stumbled upon through our partnership with Skype. We went to 3,000 users in about a week, and we found a lot of people were calling into the platform just to learn a new language. And so it's one of the things we're seeing a lot more of now, not only on the consumer side, but with business executives, is the ability to learn a new language, to call into the platform and get recorded phrases. How do I say this? I'm going on this trip. So there's definitely a really interesting opportunity there.
I got a question back here.
Does your API present the opportunity to limit it to either a particular geography, so that, for example, only people in the US will be handling something? And also, do you have any interest in building something out that has basically verticals or domain-specific knowledge for medical or legal, et cetera?
So in the first question, the ability for the API to do it by segment, absolutely. In fact, some of the companies only want a US-based interpreter. And on the second question, we do segment our community today. So what we've done is, as we've gone out and talked to businesses don't just want translation for a specific language. We call it Language Plus. It's language translation plus some level of expertise, be it medical, be it you want to talk to a chemical engineer. And so we tag all of our interpreters in our system based on their experiences and their industries of expertise. And even in medical, if you have a certain level of certification, so we can then route calls based on the particular tags that client needs to the members of the community capable of delivering that solution.
Ryan, thank you very much. Congratulations. All right. So thank you to all the startups. And if you can also help me in thanking Andy and his judging crew for contributing to this evening.